My name is Mona, and I'm a grateful recovering compulsive overeater. Hi, everybody. And like you, I weigh and measure 3 meals a day off the gray sheet. I committed to my sponsor. I don't eat no matter what, and abstinence is the most important thing in my life. And I'm abstinent by the grace of God and this community. And, I'm going on 33 years. This was never on my to-do list. And 33 years, it doesn't mean I'm not nervous as I'm qualifying. I'm still, like a lot of you have heard me already in other Zoom meetings, and I do go to a lot of meetings. It's not like, wow, you reached 33 almost, and no meetings. I go to meetings because I have a disease that tells me I don't have a disease. I almost left year 14 and I love Gray Sheet. I thought that's time, I've conquered everything else in my life. I can try this with the food. I'm not going to let food rule me. The thing that I did that I had heard at the beginning was you speak to your sponsor first. I was sure he could not convince me to stay. I mean, I'm going a little backwards. I'm not telling my background, but obviously I could qualify and just say I ate and then I stopped. And that's my qualification through Gray Sheet because I did what everyone else did with eating. But anyhow, I spoke to my sponsor and he told me about, we went through people that have left and they came back 10 years later and they gained hundreds of pounds, blah, blah, blah. Like it doesn't really work. It didn't touch me. But when he said to me, go through a day now. You're not in Gray Sheet anymore. How's your breakfast? Well, you don't have a sponsor. Okay. I would weigh and measure my breakfast. I'd weigh and measure my lunch. I'd be fine. But dinner, well, I have a seminar. I come home about 9:45 at night. I don't really have to eat. Well, maybe I'll just have a piece of fruit. Oh, I'll lose weight then. That'll be great. Well, maybe I'll skip dinner and all of a sudden I realized for 14 years at the time, I had not obsessed. There was no conversation up here about did I eat too much? Did I eat too little? Just go to the bathroom. Don't stop at the refrigerator. It's only salad. It's okay. Just take it. It's like blah, 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 blah. And I realized that stopped with Gray Sheet. Was I willing to give that up? No, I wasn't. Thank God to this day, I love my sponsor. I mean, he really saved my life because to go back again, I don't even know if I could get the program again. I came, my whole life, and I'm not going to go through everything because it's too many years. I'm 82 years old, which I can't believe. And here I am weighing and measuring my food and saying and feeling younger than I did when I was in my 20s because I was always ruled, I talk about Silence of the Lambs, when Jodie Foster was in that pit and there was Hannibal Lecter. And that was the food, the food, the food. It ruled me. I was on diet pills. I was on X-Lax. I was on water pills. I was on fasting diets. I went to an astrologer who said, when you're depressed, you have these two things. When you're I spent so much money on quick fixes. The only one I didn't go to was Atkins. I don't know why. I don't know how I skipped him. But, it was just constant. They had in my day AIDS candies, AIDS, not the AIDS that we know. And you take one, you take a glass of water, and no more, your appetite's gone. Well, I had 2 cartons because I couldn't choose which flavor I wanted. And in a half hour, I finished the 2 cartons. That's the kind of compulsive overeater I am. So I may look thin, which by the way, going on 33 years, I still don't have a fat head. I may look thin, but I am a compulsive overeater. I am crazy when it comes to food. A lot of dysfunction in my family, like a lot of people. My parents did the best they could do, but I had to get through in therapy the anger I felt with things that went on at home. As a little girl, I was terrorized, so I turned to food to comfort me and protect me. And then my sister was born 6 years later, and I wanted to make sure I protected her. My father was never violent in that he didn't hit us, but he threw dishes, made sure he didn't hit us, but that wasn't exactly calming and relaxing. You never knew who would walk in the door. Would he come in smiling, or because there wasn't enough fat in the lunch, he'd come in and explode. And then I would overhear him, I love you, so I'm so sorry. And blah, blah, blah. Oh, it was horrible. And I turned to food, 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 food. I was popular. I never felt popular. I was, got good marks, never felt smart. So, I had like a dual personality. And a friend of mine had gone to this program she told me about from California. It was, instead of AA, it was a food program. So it was, instead of alcohol, it was food. It was called Overeaters Anonymous, would I go. So in 1970, I did go to a meeting in Manhattan, and I thought they were crazy. You know the story. They're powerless. Nobody's powerless. My therapist said, I have the power. Thank you. I'm not a victim, blah, blah, blah. Um, so I thought they were nuts. And then people were sharing. One person was afraid to go out. She's afraid if she went out, she'd eat. I said, God, these people get a life. Meanwhile, I was going downhill, downhill, downhill. And finally, in 1974, uh, I took myself off of all the pills, went to a meeting the next day. First of all, I passed out because you're not supposed to take yourself off of everything I was on, but forget that. I went to a meeting and I saw people there that were thin, that were heavy, that were, all sizes, and they had my disease. I got a sponsor, but 4 days later, I collapsed at school and I was rushed to the hospital. My stool was embedded above my large intestines. And thus I began my journey with OA. Now, I'm not here to badmouth OA. OA was a wonderful program until it wasn't. I didn't realize I needed the boundaries that is in Gray Sheet. I was too afraid of that. This meeting is without exception. What I heard at the meetings, I visited for 5 years. That's the kind of stubborn addict I am. I was scared. I didn't know I was scared. I really thought wasn't that bad. I didn't need a scale. So I'd go to meetings and I'd hear people, they got married, they didn't eat no matter what. They got divorced, they didn't eat no matter what. They were sick, they didn't eat no matter what. A parent died, they didn't eat no matter what. I kept hearing that, like without exception, with that they didn't eat no matter what. And February 22nd, 1991, I was on one of my worst binges, and yeah, very self-knowledge avails us nothing. I knew that what I needed was an AA step meeting. So I was going to an AA step meeting, except I ended up at a Gray Sheet meeting. I was not going to Gray Sheet on 74th Street. I was going on 63rd Street to an AA meeting. I know that was higher power because I swear, guys, I was not going to Gray Sheet. It was the only meeting in 5 years that I was visiting I hated. I thought they were crazy. This one who was going to speak, she was chewing so much gum, I thought her teeth would fall out. I mean, it was like judgment, judgment, judgment. And then the qualifier spoke, and I heard my story. To speed up, at the end, somebody in Gray Sheet who I adore today, who has much more time than me, said to me, "How you doing, Mona?" And I said, "I'm really great." This person next to me was going to sponsor me with exception. And she said to me, "Mona, you visited us long enough. If you want what we have, you got to do what we do." She pulled the sponsor over, the person who qualified, and she sponsored me overnight. And guys, it was the first meal in 49 years where I had my 2 cups of, my 1 cup of, my 4 ounces, and my fat. And I didn't eat no matter what. And there was no voice, no voice. Do you know the freedom? I'm sure you do, of not having an obsession. Oh my God. It was my whole life. I had headaches. I had obsessions. It was awful. And I just surrendered. And my first sponsor really believed in the strong foundation. And that's where I learned. She said, "I don't want to hear stories. I don't want to hear about how horrible your job is, blah, blah, blah. What's for breakfast? What's for lunch? What's for dinner? Did you make your 3 calls? Did you raise your hand at every meeting? Did you share?" She didn't let me sponsor for the first year because I sponsored for 17 years in OA. She felt a strong foundation was what was going to help me later when, when life hits you, really life hits you. So she wasn't mean. I thank her. My third year working with her, I did change sponsors. I needed another type of sponsor when we've been together 30 years. And look, life happens. There's so much that happens. I'm going to Australia and New Zealand March 26th. Somebody in this community is helping me with the time difference and, to work it out because I have to work that out before I work out my clothes. I've traveled around the world. I don't eat no matter what. I usually tell the group ahead of time, not usually, I always tell the group, I have an eating disorder. You'll be seeing this scale at every meal because I need to weigh and measure my food. Outside of that, I'm pretty much a lot of fun. And, I use my personality. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, too bad. Nobody goes to bed with my head except me. I remember going to weddings and bar mitzvahs, and my sister, the whole family eats. And the difference is they fell asleep at night. When I went to the hotel, it was ba 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 with stuff in my pockets. I mean, rappers. I hate the sound of rappers. I hate the word rappers because it brings back so many memories. Um, I've had stories where, a lot of the story in Guadalupe where my friend forgot the food and we were in 40 miles into the jungle. I worked out in pantomime. I'm very good at pantomime. Um, what I needed for lunch, and the guide gave it to us. And I figured, you're on an island, Mona. We're gonna have fruit. So I started I ate my weighed and measured lunch, and then he came over and he said, Mona, I'm so sorry. They ran out of fruit. And here I am, 40 miles in the jungle, and I start to obsess. Am I abstinent? Am I not abstinent? What do I do? And then I remember 2 lemons equals a fruit. And I tell you, I was with a group of 8 people. None of them spoke English, but they knew what I was doing was very special. And with every bite of that lemon, they went, yes. And it was like I had the support of those people. And when I came back, my sponsor said, of course, I didn't have to do that. Thank you, Nancy. Um, but for me, I did because I was obsession free. You know, I, I can't tell you how much this program means to me. You know, now that I have almost 33 years, I sponsor people, I'm active. I'm active in the roundup. I lead meetings. I call people, they call me. I mean, my life is, if I have nothing else in my life, I have that. I was in the garments. I changed from teaching to the garment center. I didn't eat no matter what. It was brutal. Brutal. The garment center is brutal. But anything would be brutal with the head I had. So I had to work out my things. I never worked them out really before because I was eating. So therapy was always about, I binged again. I did this. Oh my God. I'll never do it again. And, there you go. But with Gray Sheet, I don't eat no matter what, no exceptions. And so I had to deal with my issues if I want a life. Um, I can't tell you how happy I am in my life. I mean, right now, right before the meeting where Layla and I were hoping I'd get on, because I was looking at the wrong meeting, of course. I was looking at 3 o'clock New York time. My microwave went. All of a sudden, it's not heated up. My stuff was cold. In the old days, I would have been, oh my God, dad, it's going to cost me money. I have to buy a new one. What the dead. Like, shut up. I don't do that anymore. That's growth. Mona, after the meeting, you'll call PC Richards. You'll see if you have a warranty, because I forgot if I had it. I didn't, whatever. And they'll work it out. If not, you'll have cold food for a while. You'll work it out. I know a lot of people in the building. I don't get crazy. And that's a gift. I've gone through, my father's death, my mother's death, friends that have died. A lot of you people that come to the regular meetings know about the stuff I was going through with mortality. I was really getting scared. It's fun to say I'm 82, but it's like I'm closer than further. And, I went through a tremendous fear. Am I going to die while I'm at a meeting? Am I going to die alone? Is it going to hurt? Am I going to get a disease? Like, shut up. It's the same obsession, but the food. But I shared it, and I did work on it, and now I'm at a place where, you know what, you're going to die when you die, but I don't want to lose today, you know. So there is such hope in this program. It is so wonderful, and I'm not going to speak to the very end minute there, Nancy. I'm sure I forgot some stuff, a lot of stuff, um, because I really want to hear from everybody. But wherever you are in this program, I swear the food does not help you cope at all. And with the gum, by the way, the gum and the Diet Coke, I never thought I'd need to give that up. Whoa. I was off of it for 8 years, and then I took one piece and forget it. I was off to the races. I put a pack of it in the mailbox, so because I kept walking out. Then I started walking out the door, walking my dog. Then put 2 packs in the mailbox. Then it was 4 packs in the mailbox. And I said, this is crazy. This is just like the food. And that was harder to give up than the food, to tell you the truth. The gum and the soda. I bought 1 can of diet soda because a friend of mine drinks it. It's ridiculous. She could have bought one. I mean, it was ridiculous. Anyhow, it ended up like almost a case. That's the kind of addict I am. I don't count 1, 2. I count 1, 5, 9. So I don't eat no matter what. I love this program. I love you guys. And I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.